She told me her Vegas hookup was just a drunken mistake. So I planned our wedding, smiled through it all, and exposed her betrayal with one text on the big day while she walked in wearing the dress. I'm 34, and for what felt like forever, I truly believed I had life all figured out. I thought I had found the person I was meant to spend every day with, the one who would be my partner through every joy and hardship. My fiancé and I had been together for 3 years, and during that time, everything seemed almost too perfect. We laughed at the same dumb jokes, shared a love for late-night pizza runs and spontaneous road trips, and even survived living together without any major conflicts. To me, these weren't just small wins. They were proof that we were compatible in a way that mattered, proof that I had found my person. So when I proposed, there was no nervousness, only certainty. Watching her say yes felt like a confirmation that my life was unfolding exactly as it should. Our families blended well enough, our friends got along, and wedding planning was exciting rather than stressful, or at least that's how it felt in the beginning. Then came her bachelorette trip to Vegas. I wasn't worried when she left. Why should I be? She promised it was just her and the bridesmaids. Some gambling, a show, maybe a night of dancing. I trusted her implicitly. She was, after all, my soon-to-be wife. But when she returned, there was a subtle shift I couldn't ignore. She looked the same, but there was something different in her energy. Distracted, distant. Whenever I tried to discuss wedding details, she brushed me off with quick, almost dismissive answers. When I asked how the trip went, she would say it was fun, nothing crazy, but she couldn't meet my eyes. At first, I chalked it up to pre-wedding stress. Maybe she was overwhelmed, maybe nervous about the big day. I told myself not to overthink, not to create problems where there weren't any. But the uneasy feeling didn't fade. If anything, it grew heavier. The truth came out in a way I could never have predicted. A couple of weeks later, I was helping set up for a small gathering with her bridesmaids. They were in the kitchen, laughing and reminiscing about Vegas, when one of them made a careless comment. "Well, at least you didn't bring him home. That would have been awkward." The room went quiet. My fiancée froze, shooting her friend a look that could kill, forcing a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. And in that moment, everything clicked for me. My stomach tightened, all the small off moments over the past weeks suddenly aligning like pieces of a puzzle. Later that night, I confronted her. I didn't yell. I didn't lose control. I asked simply, directly, what had happened in Vegas. At first, she denied it, defensively claiming I was paranoid and letting others plant ideas in my head. But after enough pressing, she confessed. She admitted she had hooked up with a random man at the club, a drunken mistake, a one-time thing. She begged me to see it as just a bad decision, insisting it didn't reflect how she felt about me. I sat stunned. This wasn't a fling born of years of resentment. This wasn't the collapse of a long marriage. We hadn't even exchanged vows yet, and already, the foundation of trust one thought we shared was shattered. In that instant, something inside me shifted. The future I had envisioned cracked open. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I just listened quietly as she tried to downplay it. Deep down, I knew something had ended the second she spoke the truth. The days following felt like an emptiness I hadn't known before. I would wake up next to her, stare at her, and wonder how I could once adore someone and now feel nothing but distance. At first, I tried convincing myself I could forgive her. People make mistakes, right? She insisted on it, cried, begged, and said it meant nothing. But how could it mean nothing when it changed everything? Every time she said it didn't matter, all I heard was, "You weren't enough in that moment. Our promises didn't matter." And if she could discard it all before the vows, what might she do when life got harder? I didn't explode. I didn't argue. I shut down instead. Outwardly, I smiled, nodded when she swore it wouldn't happen again, even hugged her while she cried. Inside, something hardened. I realized I could not, in any scenario, stand before our families, look her in the eyes, and promise forever after what she had done. But I didn't reveal that. Instead, I played along. Cake tastings, florists, engagement photos. I smiled. I posed. I wore the mask so convincingly that even she believed it, all while quietly building my plan. I gathered proof. Texts from her bridesmaid, messages exchanged during Vegas, all the confirmations I needed. I didn't need to exaggerate, the truth was damning enough. As the wedding week approached, I felt a calm I hadn't known in weeks. My decision was final. Guests were on their way, flowers were ordered, invitations had gone out. She thought we were days away from forever, blissful and ignorant. I knew the truth, and on the morning of the wedding, I acted. Guests were arriving, parents were bustling, excitement thick in the air, and I pressed send. One text to everyone connected to the wedding. Attached were screenshots, texts, and proof of her betrayal. And one sentence: "This wedding is off." The bride-to-be cheated at her bachelorette party. No drama, no lecture, just truth. I didn't go to the venue. I didn't need to. I watched as chaos unfolded without me. Guests checked phones, whispers spread. Her parents pale and frantic. My family in stunned disbelief. She walked in, bouquet in hand, dressed in white, expecting the world to admire her. Instead, she found empty seats, cold stares, and silence. She called me endlessly, messages flooding my phone. Desperate, angry, apologetic. I didn't answer. Silence, I realized, can be louder than words. In the following days, fallout spread. Some criticized my method. Others praised it. And she reached out over and over. She wanted me back. But the woman I thought I would marry was gone. What remained was someone who, given one night away, destroyed what hadn't even begun. I let her go. I walked away with dignity intact, the truth clear for everyone to see, and the knowledge that I had avoided a life built on lies. Looking back, I have no regrets. The truth is harsh, but it is freeing. While her perfect day turned into her worst, for me, it marked the first day of moving forward without deceit. She destroyed us with one night of betrayal. I ended it with one text of truth. In the days that followed, I moved through life like a ghost inhabiting a space that used to feel warm and familiar. Every reminder of her, the coffee mug she preferred, the playlist we had laughed over together, the scent of her perfume lingering faintly on a jacket, felt like a cruel echo of a life that was never truly mine. I went through the motions of ordinary existence while internally cataloging every betrayal, every half-truth she had tried to dress up as a mistake, and every moment I had trusted her without question. It was strange, this sensation of clarity wrapped in pain. I wasn't angry in the explosive sense, not anymore. I was calm, calculated. I understood fully that what had ended was not just a relationship but the illusion I had spent years nurturing. A vision of a future that now lay in ruins. Yet within that ruin, there was a strange liberation, the kind that comes when you see reality for what it is and refuse to be complicit in pretending otherwise. Even as the shockwave of the wedding fallout reverberated through our social circles, I maintained a quiet presence. Friends reached out cautiously, unsure of how to navigate the tension. Some offered sympathy, others judgment, and a few admired the control I had maintained throughout. They couldn't fully grasp the meticulous calm I had embraced while she scrambled to salvage a day that had evaporated before it even began. The text I sent had done what words alone could never have achieved. It exposed her choices to everyone, stripped away pretense, and delivered justice in its purest form. I didn't gloat. I didn't revel in her embarrassment. I simply allowed the truth to exist in its own stark, undeniable clarity. Meanwhile, she was left to confront the fallout of her own actions, a reckoning that was as public as it was private, and as humiliating as it was deserved. The apartment we had once shared felt hollow after that day, as though it had absorbed the tension and disappointment like a sponge. I began the slow process of reclaiming it, packing away remnants of a future that would never exist. Her clothes, her toiletries, the little personal touches that had once made our space feel alive. Each item removed was a step toward reclaiming myself. Yet the process was more than physical. It was mental, emotional, spiritual. Every piece I cleared away was a reminder that I had survived, that I had exercised control over my life and refused to allow betrayal to define me. I started to feel the subtle pulse of freedom beneath the grief, a quiet affirmation that the pain, though intense, had a purpose. It was the catalyst for my own rebirth. Even interactions with friends and family became lessons in perspective. People who had attended the wedding or seen the messages reacted with a mix of shock and disbelief, often sharing their amazement that I had managed to remain composed while orchestrating the ultimate confrontation. Their words, their curiosity, and their stunned faces reminded me of something crucial. Sometimes the most profound power lies not in rage or retaliation, but in calm, deliberate action. I had chosen to confront betrayal not with chaos, but with clarity. And in doing so, I had not only protected myself from further heartache, but also ensured that the illusion she had built around herself crumbled without the opportunity for spin or deceit. Slowly, life began to settle into a rhythm I had not felt in years. Mornings were quieter, evenings less suffocating, and the weight of anticipation that had once accompanied every thought of our wedding dissipated. I found solace in small routines, making coffee, reading, long walks to clear my mind, and observing the world with a clarity that had been impossible while entangled in pretense. Each moment of solitude became a reminder that I had acted with integrity, that I had refused to let betrayal go unaddressed, and that I had reclaimed my dignity without compromise. In the silence, I realized that the life I had imagined with her had been built on trust that was fragile and fleeting, and now, liberated from it, I had the chance to envision a future grounded in honesty and self-respect. Even now, when memories surface, the laughter we shared, the dreams we had whispered to each other late at night, I feel a pang, a brief ghost of what could have been. But it is fleeting. I no longer dwell on the fantasy of what might have been, for the reality is undeniable. Her choices defined her, not me. And in the aftermath, I have discovered a strength I did not know I possessed. A resolve that will guide me in every relationship, every decision, and every promise I make to myself in the future. The betrayal, though painful, became a mirror reflecting not my failure, but my ability to respond with clarity, courage, and dignity. I am moving forward now, every step measured, every choice deliberate, every lesson internalized. The wedding that was never meant to be has become a testament not to loss, but to survival and empowerment. She destroyed the illusion of forever in a single night, and in response, I preserved my truth in a single moment of undeniable clarity. That is the power of choice, the resilience of self-respect, and the liberation that comes from refusing to accept less than honesty and integrity. And while her life may carry the shadow of her choices, mine moves forward bathed in the light of truth, freedom, and the knowledge that some endings are, in fact, new beginnings. The day the wedding was supposed to happen became a silent testament to the power of truth. I stayed home, coffee in hand, watching the hours pass like a slow-motion revelation. The messages, the calls, the frantic attempts to reach me, none of it mattered. The chaos was hers to live with, the judgment of family, friends, and witnesses hers to bear. She arrived at the venue in her white dress, veil pinned neatly, bouquet in hand, expecting awe, admiration, and the magic of a perfect day. Instead, she was met with empty chairs, whispering guests, and the cold weight of realization pressing down on her like a storm. There was no music, no laughter, no celebration, just the unbearable stillness that accompanies exposure and shame. Every glance from a friend, every hesitation from a family member, every quiet shake of a head was a reminder that her actions had consequences she could not undo. She was alone in the crowd, a bride with no future, and I was nowhere near the scene, because I had already chosen my own path. Her phone buzzed endlessly. Calls from her parents, texts from bridesmaids, messages of disbelief and desperate pleas to explain or forgive. She tried calling me herself once, twice, again and again, each attempt answered only by silence. In the emptiness, the truth hung like a mirror she couldn't look away from. The room, once meant to hold a celebration of love, had become a gallery of her own choices, each guest a witness to the unraveling of her carefully constructed illusion. When she finally comprehended the magnitude of what had occurred, panic set in. The sobs she cried were not the soft, romantic tears of a bride overwhelmed by joy, but the raw, panicked collapse of someone confronted by their own actions. There was no ceremony, no vows, no I do. The dream had ended before it began, and every heartbeat in that room echoed her failure to respect the trust we had built, or, rather, the trust one had believed we had built. I meanwhile sat quietly in my apartment, removed from the spectacle, yet more powerful than any confrontation could have made me. I had preserved my dignity, exposed the truth, and ensured that the consequences of betrayal were clear, permanent, and undeniable. My phone buzzed continuously, but I didn't answer. Every unanswered call, every ignored text, reinforced the lesson she had tried so hard to avoid learning. And as the sun set on what was meant to be our wedding day, I realized something profound. Freedom and self-respect are worth far more than any fleeting happiness built on lies. She destroyed us with one night of betrayal. I ended it with one moment of undeniable truth. And in that ending, I found the beginning of a life lived with honesty, integrity, and the knowledge that the future, my future, remains mine alone. Thank you for watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.